Have you already dropped the ball on the goal that you set for 2024? If you did, it's okay. I want you to know that you are not alone. In fact, about 90% of people have already thrown in the towel to reach their goal by February. Yes, I said 90%. I know it is very common for a lot of people to set a goal and fail to reach it. And I know how frustrating and discouraging that can be, especially if it's something that you do regularly. Now, the reason that gets so frustrating to us is because our confidence is almost 100% built on trust. And when we can't even trust ourselves to keep the commitments that we've made, it's really hard to continue to operate in this confident, surefire way. But the good news is there is a way to fix it, and we're gonna cover that today. But before we dive into that, I do think it's important that you understand why you're missing those goals so that you can start to make those corrections yourself. So first, we're gonna talk about the 3 most common reasons that people fail to reach their goals. And then I'm going to dive into exactly what you can do to reach your goals. So let's dive right into it. If you don't know me, my name is Tessa Bella, AKA Billion Dollar Bella, and I am your rich big sis. My goal is to help you live your best rich girl, soft girl, happy girl lifestyle. And I believe that all of those things are possible as long as you know what to do. And that kind of brings me into the very first point here with our goals, is that the majority of people simply are not clear enough on really how to get there. See, I don't think that people are often taught how to effectively set goals. By this point in your life, you've probably heard of a SMART goal, like specific and measurable, but we can toss that out of the way because what we're gonna focus on here is just making sure that what we have got is what I like to call turn-by-turn directions. See, if you were to drive somewhere that you don't know the destination, let's just say that someone said, okay, Tessa, I need you to drive to Mount Rushmore. I am gonna be honest, I don't even know what state Mount Rushmore is in. So that would take me a really long time to find it because I have no idea where to even begin. And the same thing is true with most people's goals. They set this big goal that sounds great, but they don't know the destination. They don't know what turns they need to get there. And here's the real zinger, they don't know truly where they are beginning. So I'm going to use the example of a financial goal because most people have set a financial goal for their next year. So when setting these financial goals, a lot of times we set a number, whether that's a number that you want to see in your bank account, a total income number, maybe it's a number of debt that you want to pay off, whatever it is, you've got some number attached to it. But a lot of times we aren't crystal clear on where we're starting. And especially when it comes to our finances, this tends to be something that most people avoid, which is to sit down and get very laser focused on the entire spectrum of your current financial situation. So that means I want to know every single dollar that comes in to your bank account every single month. Not only is this a great exercise to see where your money is going, but a lot of times we don't truly understand and do our calculations for our finances based off of the real net profit that you're left with at the end of each month. And a lot of people are not pre-calculating for taxes. So that's a whole nother thing, again, for a whole nother video. So once you get clear on all of those things, this also includes any debts that you're currently holding. I want you to also be aware of the percentages on any of your credit cards, the percentages on any of your loans, how much is going towards principal, how much is going towards interest. Now, some of these things that I'm saying right now may even sound like foreign concepts to you, okay? So I wanna make sure that you've got it all mapped out and you see exactly what you have going on. Once you've done that, that's your starting point. Then we're going to look at the end goal here, and you have to break it down into what we're calling turn-by-turn instructions. And so again, I'm just using a financial goal here because that's a great example, but the same thing would apply if your goal is to lose weight or maybe to purchase a property or whatever goals you've set out to accomplish. Write out that end goal, and then we're gonna reverse engineer exactly what we need to get there. So with those financial goals, let's just say that you set out to earn an extra $20,000 this year. You wanna put that $20,000 towards, say, a down payment on a property, and so that is your number, $20,000. Now I need you to understand what is the timeline that we're gonna reach this in. So let's say 11 months. I actually like to break it down even more and say something like 10 months because you have to make sure that you're accurately factoring in how much time you're truly going to allocate to that, with factoring in things like weekends, holidays, sick days, things that you may not be putting the most amount of effort towards that specific goal. But whatever time you're seeing this, make sure that you just use the accurate time frame for which you're shooting to reach that goal. Now divide the end number by that number of months, and you're going to see how much you need to make additionally every single month in order to reach it. Now you may be sitting there and thinking, okay, but I'm not super clear on what the turn-by-turn instructions are to get to that number. If the number is $100 a day, maybe you don't know how to make that $100 a day. That's perfect, because now it's shown a light on what you actually need to either learn, buy, invest in, who you need to learn from. It'll give you the exact roadmap of what information you need to fill in the gaps. See, if we don't do this, we've set this big goal. We may know that there's things we need to do to get there, but we're not entirely sure what those things are. But if you do it this way, it's gonna shine a very bright spotlight on exactly what you need to focus your energy and attention to in order to make sure that that goal happens. So that is issue number one with most people's goal setting practice, is that they are not nearly specific enough with those turn-by-turn directions on how they're actually going to achieve it. Issue number two, that is just setting way too many goals. Now, I like to call these big bites. Instead, we want to take a dainty little nibble that'll get us a lot more satisfied in the long run, okay? So here's what I mean. When you go to set your goals, or maybe you went to make a vision board, most people's vision board is a big cluttered mess of 55 different things that they would like to have in their life. Now, I'm not saying it's bad to be clear on what that is. In fact, I think that's a great exercise. But if you want to actually get closer to the goals, you've got to focus, in my opinion, on no more than 3 things. So the exercise that I want you to do in order to navigate this is I want you to sit down and write out every single goal that comes to your mind. If you've already done a vision board for the year, then you're probably one step ahead, but take a moment to sit down and write out every single goal that you have. Then we're going to cut it way down into just 3 to 5 things that are the most important to you. And that's not to say that you can't accomplish many more than that, but you're going to be much more likely to accomplish it and much more quickly if you use this strategy. I then like to plug those 3 goals into what I call the 12-week year. Now, this is a very common practice. There's actually a book and workbook specifically around the 12-week year, but let me explain it for you in the most simple, common terms possible. 12-week year is we're breaking down our year into quarters. You've probably heard people refer to quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, and quarter 4. That is 3-month segments at a time. If we focus simply on these 3-month segments and only on 3 goals that we're going to assign to that, we can break it down to these milestones and how we're actually chipping away at it. So you would be blown away at how quickly you can reach goals if you give yourself a time frame for which to reach it. Most people give themselves way too much time. In most cases, 3 months is more than enough time to accomplish what you've set out to accomplish, or at least to make a very significant effort in the right direction, which will ultimately turn it into more of a habit. And at that point, you could start adding in some other stuff because that has already become habitual. Now that brings us into point number 3 as to why most people fail to reach their goals, and that is simply that you have not attached enough meaning to it. See, if something means enough to you, you will make it a priority. So I'm not saying that your goals aren't prioritized. I'm not saying that your goals aren't important to you. Although if you've already fallen off the wagon, chances are you didn't attach enough meaning to it. So my favorite way to do this is to think of each of my goals as I would attach them to all of the senses. Some of these get a little bit hard, like taste and smell, but try to sit down and think about how you can associate something with all of the different senses. Let me give you an example. So again, I'll use the example of a financial goal. You've set that goal to make an extra $20,000 so that you can put it on a down payment for a property in this year. I want you to write out what it's going to sound like once you've reached that goal. Maybe the sound is a popping champagne bottle because you and your family are celebrating because you know you've got that cash to put on the down payment. Maybe a visual would be scrolling through Zillow looking at properties in your price range. Whatever it may be, what is the visual? And go through and associate as many things as you can that hit all of the different senses. Now again, I know the taste thing might be funny, but maybe it's the taste of your favorite food that you like to eat when celebrating something big. It's going out with your girls to a steak dinner when you just closed on your property. And so maybe that's what taste really is associated with that goal. The more that I do this exercise, the more that I have different triggers that remind me how important that goal is to me. And if you really want to take it one step further, I like to even simulate this. See, I also like to attach certain songs to my vision board each year. I put them on a Spotify playlist, and now whenever I need a little extra motivation, I pop on that year's vision board playlist and I'm listening to the songs that make me feel like that girl who achieved all of those goals. So I hope that that was helpful, using those 3 different exercises to debunk the 3 most common reasons that people fall short on reaching their goals. But remember, if you have already fallen off the wagon with a goal, do not feel bad about it. I don't want you to waste a single moment of your time in that zone. Instead, we're going to set that aside. We're going to say, okay, now I know why I fell short on my goals, and I know exactly how to rework the system to make sure it doesn't happen again. Then go through these exercises for yourself, put them to the test, and let me know if these are helpful for you or if you have any questions on how to accomplish these, because your Rich Big Sis has got your back and I want to make sure that you're getting closer to your goals. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.